Okay.
Participants, if you have any questions, please type on the chat box. We will ask for you.
Thank you, madam. No questions. Please go to the next session. Thank you, Sunil madam.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Once again, thank you for your principal and management and your organizers, Fatima Bibi ma'am and Dr. Sarvana Kumar sir, for giving opportunity to act as a resource person for this webinar. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for your sharing very good information. Thank you.
Maimun? Thank you, ma'am. Now I call upon Jasmine Jami, Assistant Librarian, to introduce Dr. K. Ramasamy, our next resource person.
Sir, Sarvana Kumar sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Jasmine?
Sir, how many minutes are there?
4:45.
Sir, around 40 minutes are there. I think no need for introduction, sir. Even I got lot of presentation. Even I have to skip lot of slides. Let us go to the presentation, please.
No, just wait 2 minutes. Please. Jami?
Okay. Sir, Jami unmute பண்ணனும்.
Okay, Dr. K. Ramasamy, presently working as the college librarian at the NV Muthaiya Government Arts College for Women in Clinical. He is a dedicated academic librarian for nearly 24 years experience. He is qualified with the MCOM, MLS and PhD. He got 3 gold medals in UG at the Gandhigram Road Institute. He is a highly experienced professional in the field of library science. He has organized and participated in several conferences, workshops, seminars, and webinars in national and international level. He has tremendous experience as author, editor, and associate editor. He has contributed 75 articles to national and international journals, edited 6 books, including a conference volume, and published 73 book chapters in edited books. He has won 7 best paper awards in various library reviews and science conferences. He has received several honors and highly valued awards from prestigious organizations. He is a member of many library professional associations, that is studies ILA, ALA, AIA, and ISLE. He has served in many respected positions like chairperson and conference rapporteur. He has also successfully completed research and academic projects. He has created a library blog with more than 40 lakh visitors. He has coordinated various courses and has been invited to give lectures at 114 instances, a variety of audience. Apart from his current position as a librarian, he also holds responsibilities like NAC committee member, autonomous committee member, building committee member, and deputy coordinator in IPSC of NV Muthaiya Government Arts College for Women. I welcome you, sir. Welcome.
Thank you, sir. So my PPT is visible, sir?
Yes, sir, visible.
Okay, thank you. Good evening, everybody. Thank you, Saravanan sir. Thank you, Fatima V. Madam, Principal, Vice Principal, and everybody for this great opportunity. I'm indeed happy enough to present this particular PPT. In fact, I'm supposed to talk about the next gen library services. I think most of the services, whatever I intended present, were already talked about and discussed by our previous speaker, Sendamil Chelvi Madam. Thank you, Madam, for that nice introduction to all the ICT-based library services. So that I did not repeat all those services once again, I'll just skip the slides whenever there's necessity for that. And I will discuss about only very few services which were not covered by our Sendamil Chelvi Madam. So internet is everywhere, mobile is there everywhere, and we are able to access information everywhere. So previously libraries were the only institution from where users used to get the information. But nowadays we have got plenty of platforms from where the users are able to get the required information. Information over explosion, all those things take place, and multi-format information in multiple formats and forms. And particularly users are changing very particularly. This generation is called a smart generation, jet age generation, where they want all the information quickly, and they're all immersed in various ICT products and tools, and multitasking is their way of life. See, when a particular the same time a user may be listening to some music, he'll be downloading some videos, and he'll be texting his friend. So multitasking has become a walk of their life. They always want to get connected, they don't want to be in isolation, and they can't wait for things. So they want all the information immediately. That is the generation is. So whole world is changing, library ecosystem is changing, library users are changing. So obviously libraries also have to change, and library services also have to change. Fine. So what is a innovative library service? Very simple. If you are doing something which you have not done till yesterday, that is innovative service as far as your library is concerned. So when you are bringing out a new service which is exclusively meant for satisfying a particular target group, maybe UG first year students or MPhil scholars, in that is a innovative service. But mainly when we talk about innovative service, we talk about the use of new technology in rendering library services to users. So that is what we are going to talk about today. So you can term it as electronic information services, or online information services, or virtual reference services, or digital reference services. You give any name. See, whatever traditionally you were doing, whatever efforts you were taking previously to get the required information in the library, now all those things you are going to do with the help of ICT tools and techniques. You can ask for the librarian through mail to extend your loan period, or you can give some suggestion to librarian on books that can be purchased, or you can go on to browse a beautiful website, as madam rightly showed very beautifully, a college library website. You can go and browse, or you can have an online virtual reference service, or you can ask for a loan, a book which is not available in your library. You can ask your librarian to arrange for the book from some other librarians, or if the electronic version of the document is available, you can request a librarian to send it electronically. So without going to library, without physically visiting the library, whatever services, actually all these services we were enjoying physically by visiting a library, talking to a librarian, getting all these things physically. But thanks to ICT, we are going to have all these things in the online mode. From librarian point of view, so we are also using a lot of ICT tools and techniques to reach the users, okay, whether to inform the users about the new arrivals, or some attractive titles on specific occasions, or we want to promote new services, we want to give announcement about library events and activities, or you want to give some useful links to users on various topics, or you want to conduct some information literacy training programs. So we also started doing all these traditional services using ICT things. So when you talk about the next gen library services, so some are traditional services which are converted into digital thanks to ICT. At the same time, there are some services which are born digital. Okay, there is no traditional equivalent of those services. Fine. So first and foremost in this appearance of a library, see that your library is kept very appealing, very colorful and technology backed library. Okay, see, there's something called bring your device. That means you can permit the users to bring their own devices to library, maybe a laptop or a palm top or Android mobile. They can use their own device in the library. And library also should be having enough ICT facilities. And library should be a place where a student may come and study and have a focused study, or you can have a kind of a place where you can have formal celebration, formal programs, or informal activities. And you can have some places where free recharge provisions are available. And nowadays in libraries, we have a habit of encouraging a group of users to come sit and discuss on a particular topic for a short period of time, a brainstorming sessions. And in Western countries, many public libraries, they have changed the library into a different center. See, if you want a passport, if you want to get marriage license, if you want to voter registration, if you want to pay tax, all those things are happening inside the library, in many public libraries. Fine. And libraries should provide a wide variety of different settings and resources for the users. Okay. And many people feel that instead of having more space for physical library, physical books, library can have more space for something like tech centers, reading rooms, meeting rooms, all those things and all. And in library, we are supposed to provide a comfortable place for the people to read, walk, and even relax. In some places, they are providing even a small study unit where 3 or 4 students can go and study as a group study event. If your library is meant for children, then accordingly, the shelf height, the furniture, the books, all those things be designed. So if you come to IIM Bangalore, they have got a lot of rooms like formal meeting rooms, informal meeting rooms. You can book and you can go and make use of all these in the library. Then in recent days, we have got something called maker space, a place where users can go. Some facilities will be available in the library, maybe some 3D printers or video capturing or editing tools or arts and crafts materials. There, the library users can go and bring and build some intellectual and physical resources. Makerspace is getting very popular. Fine. And robots in libraries. In many places of the country, they have started using robots in libraries. See, for example, in Singapore, they are using the library for shelf scanning purpose. In many public libraries in America, they got different robots, maybe Navo, Finch, robot for different purposes. For example, in South Africa, University of Pretoria, they are using a robot called Libby. What is the purpose of this robot? This robot will be greeting the people when they come to library, and it will give direction to the people where is available, what is available where. It gives all the directions. And in University of Oklahoma, there is a robot called Alexa. It provides all the basic fundamental short-range reference services to users. And if you go to another library, there is a robot called Luca. It is a reading robot. You tell a book, it will read in different tones, different voices, male voice, female voice, very popular actor voice. It will read. So in University of Chicago, so they have got 3.5 lakhs of millions of books. All the books are stored in a 5-story building in a perfect temperature. Whenever a particular book is asked, there is a robot crane that will go on, pick the book in few minutes. That will be retrieving and give the book to you. It's one of the beautiful use of robots in libraries. And even for picking up a particular book, you can make use of some robots. And this is a robot I was talking to you about Singapore, where they are using this robots for scanning the shelves. Each and every shelf will go on self automatically. Fine. Then comes RFID, Madam was telling about it, radio frequency system, where few important things are possible. One is self check-in. Instead of you go to a librarian to borrow a book, to return the book, to renew the book, you can do all these things in the self kiosk machines. At the same time, there is something called a book drop facility where you can go and drop the books. And in RFID system, they are providing these security gates so that if somebody without properly issuing the books, if they cross the security gates, it will give us some sound so that we'll catch those people. Fine, good. See, RFID kiosk is very popular in many places. You can go and see these kinds of self-servicing kiosks available in many libraries, even in Alagappa University, Gandhinagar University, in Madurai Kamaraj University. All these machines are available. What you can do is that you can just go with your RFID tagged card. You can insert the card. Then you can either you can borrow the book, or you can return the book, or you can rename the book. All these things can be done without any assistance of any library professional. You yourself will be able to do all these transactions. Then comes book drop facility. See, for example, library works from morning 10 to 5. You want to return the book around 7, around 8, around 9 o'clock, casual dress. Very simple. These days, in many libraries, they have placed draw box in front of their library. What you can do is that you just go on to drop the box in the book drop facility available. So you will get a SMS and a receipt that you have returned so and so book. Fine. You can see here, these are a few book drop boxes which are installed in many leading libraries. Fine, good. Then comes OPAC. Madam showed web OPAC of her libraries were really interesting. And see, long back we had catalog cards. Then we had OPAC. OPAC became LAN OPAC. LAN OPAC became web OPAC. Now the web OPAC has become very, very important tool for identifying the resources that are available in the library. Through OPAC, nowadays, lot of new added services are being added thanks to ICT. So previously, using OPAC, only you can just go and find out what book is available in what subject, by which author, by which publisher, in which year. This is what we were providing previously. But now, thanks to the ICT penetration, OPAC has changed quite a lot. For example, when you go and search for the things, so OPAC will provide you books, video CDs. So all kinds of resources will be searched similarly. They are providing a book jackets or book images, and they are telling you various options for filtering your search. So I want only books, I want only video CD, I want only a subject which belongs to this particular area, I want only this language material, or only this particular year published books. So all these filters are possible. Then OPAC tells you whether a particular book is available or it is on loan, and whatever results you get in your OPAC, the results can be arranged either based on recently added books or old books, or based on year of publication, based on relevance. You can arrange all those results in the OPAC. Not only that, in the OPAC, you can find out how many books or materials are available on that particular topic today. As on now, how many materials are available, and what are the different locations. If a library is having 2 or 3 branches, using OPAC, we can easily find out which branch has got which kind of material. That is very easy these days. And apart from that, if the electronic version of a particular document is available, they are providing link to online access of that particular material in the OPAC itself. And if a particular material is having many versions, maybe softbound, hardbound, library edition, illustrated edition, revised edition, enlarged edition. So all the multiple versions of the same material can be found just with the help of a single search. That is possible. And in even some libraries, some OPACs, they categorize all your results and they display separately. How many articles are fulfilling your search request, how many books and media, website related materials, research guides are there. Apart from that, these days, OPAC is suggesting you when you are going to borrow a book, they tell just like what Amazon does. They tell you, see, the people, those who have borrowed these books also borrowed these books. So they are giving such kind of suggestions. And sometimes when you're borrowing edition 3, they are telling you edition 4 is available. So that kind of extra information is being provided nowadays by OPAC. And OPAC also provides rating, just like Amazon rating. Based on the rating given by the library users, they provide comments and users rating for each and every document. And you can find out whether the particular book is on loan. If it is on loan, when the particular book is expected to be reaching the library, even due date also can be seen. This is an example of web OPAC of IIT Madras. Let me just go through fast. Mobile OPACs, okay, even the online public access catalog, many libraries are available in mobile platform these days, very simple. Then comes QR code. So, quick response code, QR codes can be used in libraries. Okay, see, even in the catalog, you can fix a QR code so that by clicking that particular QR code, by scanning the QR code, you'll be able to read summary of the particular book. And apart from that, nowadays what they do is that near the physical book, QR code is displayed. So if you are scanning this QR code, you will be taken to list of the freely available or subscribed electronic resources that are all talking about the same physical resource by which it is placed. When that kind of thing is available, if a new book is reaching your library, what you can do is that you can create a QR code. By scanning that, the reader will be able to read a small book review of that newly published book. Even QR codes can be used for this purpose. Otherwise, see, when a particular user is clicking a QR code, he'll be given list of recommended books. So you are taking this particular book to read. We are suggesting you to read these books also. So that kind of recommendations also can be given through QR code. Fine. Then comes location-based services. There are some softwares. If you are using those softwares, you will be able to provide location-based services to users. For example, if a particular person is reaching this particular spot, a scene from Alice in Wonderland, so immediately the library app, the software will tell you what is this particular image, either any documents, books or novels are available in the library related to this particular picture. So all those things will be prompted to the users. So based on where the user is available, we are providing location-based services. And these are the few softwares that can be used by you for providing location-based services. Then comes SMS alert. It's very, very popular these days. You can send SMS alert to users on many things. For example, maybe something like when a particular material taken by the user is going to be due. What is a due date? You can send a SMS, or you can send an alert. For example, a particular user reserved for a particular material, maybe 2 or 3 days before. the reserved material has reached the library, you can send a SMS message stating that your reserved material is available now. You can come to library, you can collect it. That kind of messages. In some libraries, in their catalog itself, they give an option, something like click send as text message. If you click that, the entire record will be sent as a text message to your mobile phone. Even that kind of text messages are possible. And apart from that, small queries like what is the library hours? Are you working today? So such kind of queries also can be given responses through your SMS service. Fine. Then comes mobile library collections. So nowadays, a good number of library resources, free resources are made available in the mobile platform. For example, I just have a clippings of few libraries which provide their collections in mobile accessible formats. See, a British library, they provide entire 19th century collection through mobiles. And a Duke University Library, they have built a wonderful digital image collection which is available through mobile phone. And even a lot of database like Benline, PubMed, they have entered into mobile platform in the sense they are ready to make their content available in mobile devices. This is one example, PubMed. Then comes EBSCO. Even EBSCO content can be accessed in mobiles. Even summons databases, it can be accessed in your mobile phone. And even we can offer mobile tours. Okay, as Madam rightly pointed out, physically, we can provide a virtual mobile-based library tour for the users. And the geolocation, as I told you, based on the location, we can provide services. And nowadays, there are some websites from which you will be able to build a mobile website. That means those websites will work only in the mobile phones. They will not work in laptops. Okay, such kind of specific mobile websites are there. You can develop mobile websites for your libraries. Fine. Down. Recently, the trend is the libraries have started lending not only books and magazines, but also they started lending lot of devices that have required information resources. For example, there's a library. So they are lending iPods to the users for 3-week period. Either you can come and borrow an iPod from the library, or you can bring your iPod. You can tell what are the books you want, what are the audio lists you want. They will fill all the data to you, they give you. So that kind of service is getting very popular. Here's another library. So for example, one semester, whatever musical assignments a student has to complete, all those musical scores are made available in the iPod. This iPod can be borrowed by you. You can keep it with you for the entire semester and you can answer all the assignments. Fine. Then comes, here also you can see here, iPad is available. So iPod is there, iPad, both are entirely different. Okay, even iPad is available. So you can borrow iPad for 2 hours. Okay, using this iPad, you can browse internet, you can do library research, you can read ebooks, you can stream videos, you can watch videos, you can play games. Fine. So libraries have started lending all these devices also. And recently you might have heard about Kindle machines, Kindle e-readers. We have basically 2 different companies. One is Sony Reader, and other is Kindle e-readers. These readers are also available for lending. So there is a library, they are providing you these machines on loan. Amazon Kindle, they have around 30 Kindles. They have got 2 Sony readers. You can go and borrow for 1 week or 2 weeks. You can make use of the materials. You can return it. Fine, good. And this from IIM Ahmedabad. They are lending these Kindle e-readers for readers for 15 days. You can renew it once, and in one Kindle reader, they have stored around 1 million titles. 1 million titles you can use it. Okay, so these are the Kindle readers they are having. Then comes the library instruction. Madam told that we have to conduct library orientation program. Nowadays, all the library orientation programs are conducted either through Vodcast or through podcast. Any one these things. If you take a podcast, all the audio recorded versions are available. You can just sit in your house. You can listen to all the library services. Or we have even podcasts, all the video versions of library tours, library practices, library rules and regulations. All those things are videographed and they are available on the library website. You can just watch even without visiting the library. Fine. And this is a library blog. So Madam was talking about library website. So in case there are some institutions which may not afford to buy a domain for you to build a library website. In that case, you can go for library blogs. They are free. Many platforms are available. WordPress, Weebly, Webs, EduBlock, Google Sites, Blogspot. Many are there. You can go and try freely. You can create a blog for your library. Fine. So this is a library block for my previous institution, KV1 Madurai Library, which has got around 46 lakhs online visitors. And this is the first library block of the country from Library KV Pattam. It has got around 78 lakhs library visitors. You'll be wondering to see this particular library block. They have a virtual library and they are available in YouTube channel. They're having their own karaoke. They're having their own audio library. They are available in Facebook. They are available in Twitter, and they're having an account in Linktree and whatnot. And Ask Your Librarian service. They are providing RSS feed service, and they are providing Kindle e-readers on loan, and they are conducting a lot of activities. For example, one activity is gift a book and get a friend. This is an activity. You have to go and hand over a book to a particular friend of particular person. By giving that book, you're going to become a friend of the particular boy or a girl. So that kind of program. So it's a wonderful block you can visit. Then KV Kanji Code, another library block where you can see reservation status. So when you reserve a book, what is your status? When you will be able to get this particular book. What are the most issued books? So they are listed. Competitions being conducted in the library, Readers Club post, book reviews, all those things are posted. Best uses of the library for every month they are displaying, and links to various open access resources. Library is available on Facebook. Library is having its own mobile app. Library is available in a YouTube channel. Fine. And this is a library block of my library of MV Muthiah Government Arts College for Women, where we are trying to provide some information, some services through our library block. We are listing like best user awards, the creative corner walks of the children, extension activities of the library, seminars being organized by the library, messages from the librarian, publications of our college, new arrivals, and research guides on style manuals, APA, Zotero, all these things and all. So we are trying to provide the library website or blog can be served as a digital image library of your library. And you can provide links to various RSS links like employment opportunities, daily newspapers, all those things. And you can have even archives, and you can set RSS feed. That means if somebody who visits your library blog, if they click on follow, it means that whenever a new item is added to your library blog, immediately they will get a notification in their email. Fine. And list of free resources, they are listed in the library blog. And very importantly, mobile apps. Nowadays, many libraries, they have started creating or making a new mobile app for the library itself. It's an exclusive mobile app for the library. Fine. See, whatever we have seen now, all those things can be given through a mobile app. Only thing is, our library users have to download that particular mobile app. They have to register themselves. That's it. They can do all kinds of library related activities. For example, they can go and renew their requests. They can do reservation. They can give a recommendation about the book. They can place request for interlibrary loan. All these things are possible. And your pattern account, you can go and check your account, whether any overdue fine is there, whether I have paid any amount so far, what is the number of books I have taken throughout my life in this library. Your history can be seen. Apart from that, event calendar, all the library activities and events will be automatically coming to your mobile app. Then comes push notification. If you say yes, all the important notifications, whatever library wants to give to all the users, will be pushed to your mobile apps. And apart from that, new arrivals, bulletin boards, library digest, news clippings, all those things can be accessed in your library mobile app itself. So these are a few examples of library mobile apps. Then comes e-resources. See, whatever e-resources Madam was talking to you, all the e-resources can be accessed through your mobile apps. Then OPAC, your library OPAC can be accessed, searched using your mobile app. Then comes the document categories. Whatever information you want to access, all those information can be categorized into convenient groups by you in your mobile app. Then help option is available. Whatever doubts you have got about library operations or services, resources, you can contact through this particular menu. Then comes payment gateway. Through your mobile app itself, you can pay. If there's a late fee, if you lost a library book, you have to pay the cost of the book 2 times, 3 times. All those payments can be done through mobile app. Then about library, your rules and regulations, locations, contact number, what are the various social media in which library is available, what about the e-library newsletters. So anything about the library timings, rules can be seen in your mobile app. Then frequently ask questions about your library resources and services that can be accessed in your mobile app. Then reference service, just using your mobile app, you ask questions, you'll get a reply from the librarian. Then comes social media. Using your mobile app, you can directly go and visit the Facebook page of your library, or Twitter page of your library, or YouTube channel of your library. Then comes map. In the mobile app itself, they give a map. Where is your library? What are the various sections? All those things can be given directions in your mobile app itself. Then comes contact particulars that is available. See, for example, who and all have developed the mobile apps for the library? So there is a mobile app from Nidhi Aayog. There is a mobile app from IIT Delhi. Mobile app from National Digital Library of India. It's a very popular open source tool. Then we have a mobile app from Indian Institute of Management, Ahmedabad. And we have mobile app from IISER Bhopal. We have mobile app from IIM Library Consortium. We have even mobile app from library, K school library from KV Kanchikodu. Even school library, they have developed a special mobile app for their library. It's a wonderful app. You can make use of it. This is a mobile app from IIM Ahmedabad. Fine. So mobile app is going to be one of the very important prominent library service that can be undertaken by the librarians in the days to come. Fine. Then comes subject portals. So you can create a subject portal. You can collect contents available free of cost in online on a particular topic. All these things can be combined, consolidated. You can prepare a subject portal or a PDF portal. For example, this subject portal, what we have created for commerce students, BCom students, MCom students, BBA students, whenever they want some learning materials, distance education study materials, they can come to this particular block. You can see here, University of Calicut, Alappa University, Lovely Professional University, MS University, Sri Venkateswara University, University of Calicut, University of Jammu. So we have collected all these freely available learning materials. They're all available in a single platform for the commerce and BBA students. So this kind of subject portals can be developed by you at free of cost. Okay, you need not pay any amount. Only thing is you have to pay little interest and you have to pay some little time and energy for that. Then comes institutional repository. Madam told you about institutional repository. What are the various materials that can be included in your institutional material? Your institutional publications can be included. For example, it's an example of University of Mysore, where they are having their own institutional repository. You click on browse repository, all the subjects appear. You click on economics, all 227 materials available on economics will be displayed in the A to Z order. Otherwise, you can look for articles, book section, conference, workshop items, books, audio items. So your publications can be made available online. This is another beautiful service of the future. And this is a repository of Indian Institute of Management, Bangalore. They got all the faculty publications, all the thesis submitted by the research scholars, and even students' projects. All those things are available in their institutional repository. Then comes LibGuides. See, in foreign countries, you go to any university, they are preparing library guides. They are preparing research guides. These guides are available online in their library website. For example, I just went and typed author profile system. I got more than 40 library websites. They provide you guides. Just go and download those guides, either textual guide or video guide. You can download, you can read what I can do, how I can create ArcID, how I can create with one ID, how I can go and get data about Google Scholar. So guides are there. I just typed plagiarism. I got around 14 to 15 websites. They are providing research guides on plagiarism. For example, this one site, they tell you what is plagiarism, how to avoid plagiarism, what are the tools for plagiarism, what kind of things are considered as plagiarism. So these kind of research guides are available. So even you can prepare research guides for your library. You can make it available in your library website. Fine. Then comes discovery service. As Madam rightly pointed out, nowadays we would like to provide a single point access to your users. What do you mean by single point access? For example, you are having library books, physical books, you are having library journals, physical journals. Apart from that, you are subscribed to lot of e-journals, lot of e-books. And thirdly, a good number of open access e-journals, open access e-books are available. And fourthly, all the institutional repository materials. Imagine if you want to conduct a search in all these 4 different areas separately, it's very difficult. Imagine you pull together all these resources, make them available in a single platform. You give a single search. That single search will go and try and get materials from all these collections. So that is called web scale discovery service. wherein you are going to have a single platform to search for the materials which are licensed, which are open, which are local connections. Okay, fine. Who are all providing this web scale discovery service? We have EBSCO, we have Xlibris, we have Summons, and there's an open source software called Viewfind. You can try this particular one. And this screenshot from EBSCO web scale service, where when you type a keyword, you can see whatever I had shown you in the OPAC page, all those particulars, and where they go on to search all kinds of resources, they provide a consolidated report to you. This is an example of a web scale discovery service. Let me just skip fast. Then comes WhatsApp. As I told you, WhatsApp can be used effectively for alerting service, for library videos, library locations, audio messages, suggestions for a particular book, new arrivals information, library images, library notices, library timings. All these things can be shared in WhatsApp, and you can send a WhatsApp message to users to return a particular book, or about the exact fine he has to pay, or after renewing a book, you can send a SMS or WhatsApp that we have successfully renewed your particular application, all those things. Location of the library, you can give audio to, you can provide a lot of image services, you can provide consultation services, you can conduct a virtual reference service using WhatsApp. All library events can be informed to users via WhatsApp. Reference service can be conducted through WhatsApp. Fine. And now, recently we talk about something called human libraries. See, normally we go and borrow a book or a magazine. Recently, there is a provision that you can go to a library, you can borrow a human being. You can borrow a human being, maybe for 30 minutes or 45 minutes. You can talk to him, you can ask questions, he will tell the stories, he will share all his experiences. So that kind of a new service is being introduced in many libraries. In fact, this human library concept was introduced in Denmark in 2000, but now the service is being introduced in many parts of India. For example, we have it in Delhi, human library service. In Calcutta, they have a human library. In Mysore, they have a human library. In Vijayawada, they're having a human library project sponsored by state government. A living book library. See, they are same, both are same. Here, each and every human being is considered as a living book, and any complex situation, for example, there is a cancer survivor, there is a person who escaped from domestic violence, there is a sex worker, there is a lesbian. So there are some issues which you cannot get your perceptions exactly. So when you borrow a human library, when you talk to him, you will get all kinds of intellectual and emotional perspective of a particular topic on which you are doing a research or you're studying. So that kind of facilities being given in these living libraries, human libraries. Then comes web forms. See, nowadays, many kind of forms can be filled online. You need not go to a library physically, either to get a membership, or to renew your membership, or to request for an inter-library loan, or you have got some kind of doubts you want to clarify, or you want to do a kind of reservation for your books, or you want to conduct a feedback survey. So all those things nowadays can be done virtually. For example, to become a member, you can just go and click the form, you can fill the particulars and submit online, or you can give feedback about library resources and services through these web forms, or even ask your librarian service. If you want any kind of reference materials or any information, you can ask for it. So all these things are taking place in the form of web mode. Fine. Then comes reference services. Nowadays, all the reference services which were held face-to-face between the user and librarian, now they are being held in a virtual mode, either asynchronous transactions or synchronous. The synchronous, we have live talk between the user and librarian. The asynchronous, the user will place a query. The query will be available in the mailbox. The librarian will be opening it. He'll be checking it. Then he'll give the reply whenever it is convenient for him. Then good. For example, there is a app called Meebo, which can be used for virtual chat. And Library of Congress, they are providing ask.loc.government, where you can go and ask questions. Even IIM Ahmedabad, they are providing online chat facility, where you can go and ask your queries. Librarians will answer all the questions online. Then comes these kinds of ask us 24/7. These are the services. Fine. Then the SDA service, which was previously conducted in the physical mode, nowadays we are doing online. One side we have research profile interest of the readers. Another side we have updates from electronic databases. Periodically, we are matching both these research profiles and updated results. and these results are communicated to users periodically. So that kind of SGA service is being rendered these days. Then comes remote access. See, previously you can use the library resources only when you are in the library, or only when you are on the campus. Nowadays, even after campus access being promoted by many libraries, whether you're at your home or you're traveling, you're in some other city, still you will be permitted to access your library resources. That is why this remote access facility is being provided. IIM Raipur, they are providing remote access facility. IIM Bangalore, they are providing remote access. Even you can pay fine. See, as I told you, see, this is a screenshot of Tyagarajan College of Library, Madurai, where you can go and even pay your fines, overdue fines, last of books, all those things. You can make payments online. Fine. Then comes RSS feeds. Just like many other Web 2.0 tools, even RSS also can be effectively employed to render information about latest publications available for each and every researcher. For example, as a librarian, you can go to visit many journals. You can find out journal feeds and you can click the journal feed. You can copy the feed so that if you're having a feed runner like OWL or RSS OWL, all the latest information will be automatically uploaded to your RSS feeder. So this can be taken and you can share it with your concerned faculty members. So this kind of RSS service can be provided. Then maybe the last one, I am completing my presentation. Linktree, this is a new service. I just happened to see this 2 days before. So this is a platform where you can list all the important links. So whatever links you are having, maybe for your YouTube videos or your open access resources or your library events, library website, all those links can be brought and they can be maintained online permanently at free of cost in this particular site called linktree.com. You can go on to receive account. You can create links for all kinds of library resources and services. Fine. So let me conclude because already we have got more than 2.5 hours time. So there is no limit for innovation. You can keep on thinking about new services that can be introduced in your libraries. Try as many services as possible. And as Mahatma Gandhi rightly told, customer is a very, very important person in our premises. In order to satisfy the information needs of our new clientele, new library users, with a broad smile, let us make use of all these ICT facilities, and so that we'll try to help them get the required information by all our new generation library users. So thanks to all these PPTs, and thank you so much. I'm sorry I was rushing through because of lack of time. I'm sorry for that. If you've got some questions to ask, you're most welcome, please.
Thank you so much, sir, for your wonderful section. If dear participant, if anyone have a doubt, please type your question in the chat box. Okay, we concluded. The only thing that you absolutely have to know is the solution of the library, Albert Einstein. Now we are at the end of the today's program. Now I kindly request Dr. R.R. Saravanakumar sir, Librarian of Satakutula Appa College, to register the vote of thanks. Sir, please. Sir.
Audible?
Sir.
Audible?
Yes, sir.
Good evening to all of you.
Sir, video is.
Hello?
The video on பண்ணுங்க sir.
Sir, video. Yes, sir. Okay.
Okay. Good evening to all of you. I feel extremely happy and honored to deliver vote of thanks. I would like to record my sincere gratitude to the managing committee of our college for having given us the permission to conduct such a program. Thank you, sir. I wish to express my special thanks to our beloved principal, Dr. M. Muhammad Sadiq, who has accepted to deliver presidential address and making this webinar a favorable and successful one. Thank you, sir. I thank Dr. SMA Syed Muhammad Gaja, the Vice Principal of Unedited Courses, for his support in all our endeavors. Thank you, sir. I thank Dr. A. Syed Mohammed, IGC coordinator, for his support offered to us for this webinar. Thank you so much, sir. I also express my sincere thanks to Dr. A. Sendamil Chelvi, Madam, Librarian and Head, Department of Library and Information Science, Holy Cross College, Tiruchirappalli, who has delivered a lecture on best practices in library resources and services. Thank you very much, Madam. We hope your lecture must have enlightened all our faculties as well as our students community. Once again, I thank you, Madam. I register my thanks to our guest of honor, Dr. K. Ramasamy, the librarian, MD, Muthaiya Government Arts College for Women, Tindukal. His lecture on next gen library services, the need of the hour, was very informative and has motivated the interest of all the library and information science professionals and students. Thank you, sir. I thank Professor Dr. N. Varadarajan, University Librarian, University of Hyderabad, Telangana, for having delivered the inaugural address. Thank you, sir. I express my thanks to all my colleagues and staff members at our library who worked together to make this webinar a successful one. Thank you. Finally, I thank all the professors who have attended this webinar from various colleges and universities from various places. Thank you, all professors. Finally, we thank all the research scholars and students community for attending this webinar from far and wide and making this function a great successful one. Thank you all. Above all, I thank the Lord Almighty for all his blessings that he has served on us. On behalf of the management, principal, the Central Library and the Department of Library and Information Science of Sadhguru Bakali Tinevali, I thank each one of you who have attended the webinar. Thank you, one and all. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, everyone.
Vanakkam, sir. Thank you, sir. Shall I leave the meeting?
Thank you, Ramsam, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Sir, Saravanan sir, are you sending a feedback form?
Yes, sir.
Feedback form.
Yes, sir.
Send பண்ணியாச்சு, sir.
Feedback form, are you sending, sir, over
Sir,
mail?
Sir, the feedback form is available in the chat box.
Chat box, sir.
Okay, okay. Thank you, madam.
Sir, YouTube live பார்த்தவங்களுக்கு அனுப்பணுமா?
ஆமா.
அனுப்பியாச்சு.
அனுப்பிடுங்க மேம், சென்ட் பண்ணிருங்க.
அனுப்பியாச்சு.
Thank you, Saravana Kumar sir. Can I leave?
Thank you, madam. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.
For sharing a lot of information. For time to receive, it is not the time limit.
Thank you. Sorry, don't. I have taken, you have already said 45 minutes. That's why I am taking 45 minutes, sir. Okay. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, madam. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you for the opportunity. Once again, thank you.
Ramasamy sir, thank you, sir.
I think he was left to me. We thanks to all the participants. Feedback links are available in the chat box in the next half an hour.
அந்த chat box எப்படி எங்க
Please available, sir, all the PPTs.
Hello, can you hear me, sir?
Yes, yes.
Can sir available all the PPTs in Gmail?
So we will send you, sir. We will send you your mail.
Okay, okay. Thank you, sir.
Welcome, sir. Thank you. Thank you.
நீங்க ஏதோ பண்ணீங்கன்னா நீங்க